who can jump into the ocean and bring back some cupfuls of nectar for us. I remember studying Navyanaya from a Pandit, and in the first class, somebody at the back of the audience stood up to ask a question, and the Pandit said, have you studied philosophy? This person said no. Are you a Sanskrit scholar? This person said no. And he said, sit down, listen. Listen for a few days and then you can ask questions. And then he said, what is the criterion to even open your mouth in such a discussion, to even ask one question? What is the criterion? Maharaj quoted it, that's why I am bringing it up. Padavakya Pramanadi. He said, you must be a master of Padashastra, which means grammar. Sanskrit grammar you must master, you can imagine. What is it? One of our great senior Swamis asked, what were you studying today, Brahmacharis? He said, the sutras from Panini and Sanskrit grammar. And he said in Bengali, Ore Baba, Protidin Pada Protidin Bola. It's something that you read every day, forget every day. And it is, you have to master that, then that's not enough. Vakya Shastra, which is Mimamsa. How do you interpret the texts? The Vedas, the Upanishads. So the whole science of that is vast and difficult science. You have to master that. And that's not enough. Pramana Shastra, which is Nyaya, epistemology. So master of grammar, master of hermeneutics, and master of epistemology. And so what will happen then? Then you can open your mouth and ask a question. Begin to ask a question. In these traditional circles of Pandits. Luckily, we have Swami Tattva to break it down for us and bring us the ocean easily, much more easily handy in a cup. And so we can ask questions also. Don't worry, don't be intimidated.
Okay.
Also, Maharaj mentioned the Stotras, vast literature, devotional literature composed by Shankaracharya. I was also struck by this. Once, we have a book called Stavananjali with all the beautiful hymns in Sanskrit. A collection of the choicest hymns, stotras in Hinduism, written in the last, from Vedic times downwards. So, in this 2-3 millennia history, choice of hymns, I was looking through the contents, and in those contents I was stunned to see fully 25%, 1/4 of that is one man, Adi Shankaracharya. And most of it, very few are like Nirvana Shatakam, most are devotional. The vast majority are devotional. And finally, about pre-Shankara Advaita Vedanta, I was just listening to Maharaj and thinking, the impression you get is messy. It's like a construction site. See, when you see a beautiful structure like this, it's wonderful. But imagine when it was being constructed, what would this place have looked like? There is a beautiful museum here. If you're interested, you can visit it. It gives the history of NASA's development, the moon mission and the rockets previous to the moon mission. Von Braun, after whom this center is named, this convention hall, Werner von Braun. He and his team, how hard they worked for decades in this site. So if you look at the museum, you'll see, we have all seen pictures of Saturn V going with Neil Armstrong and Michael Collins and others to the moon. But to come to that point, how much hard work, messy work, difficult work, how many failures, how many non-starters they had to go through. All those pictures and descriptions are there. It's similar in a even longer span of time, over centuries, how what we see as Advaita Vedanta today, and we can glibly talk about it, how difficult it was to devise this extraordinary philosophical structure. So many great thinkers, many of whom their names are lost to time, many of whom we just heard, only the names are known, and among them only 1 or 2 verses we can recover. So that was the situation before Shankaracharya, as far as, not Advaita Vedanta, but Advaita Vedanta as a philosophy. That was the situation. Now we come to Adi Shankaracharya himself. And to talk about that giant, we have revered Swami Chandrashekharananda Ji Maharaj. He is the head and the resident minister at the Vedanta Society in Portland. Maharaj.
Jananim Sharadam Ramakrishnam Jagadguru Padapadme Dayavatva Mami Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. I bow to the blessed feet of Shankar, the benefactor of the world, who is abode of Shruti, that is revealed truth, and traditions and Puranas, abode of compassion. Revered and dear Swamis and Matajis, as you know, I have been given this topic, but before that, I'm a small person, so as you know. And before this, my brother Tattva has made the preface, that means the beginning. So just I'll try to concentrate on the topic. But before I delve to the subject, that I must congratulate the organizer of this. This is like a mini Kumbh Mela, and Amrita is being showered on us. So we are very grateful to the organizer, and I am very happy to be here. A devotee wrote, a huge temple in Alabama, Jai Bharat Mata. So, as brother has said, that this knowledge can be compressed, and it is peace. It is said, Upashanto ayam atma. We are talking something which cannot be expressed. But fortunately we can experience. It cannot be expressed, but we are that. So this is our first point. So Upashanto ayama. This Atman is the peace, that abiding peace and bliss. As we know, Shankaracharya, in a short period of 32 years, he has made a beautiful structure, an edifice for our use. It is like the highway. So that is why we are grateful to that self. As we know, he was born, it is considered that he was born in 788 AD, and he passed away in 820, sorry. So this world we experience, it is within our experience. So we cannot say this world does not exist. But as we have just now heard, that there are three kind of existence that we experience. One is that ultimate truth, Paramarthik Satta, and Vyavaharik Satta. Vyavaharik Satta means whatever we experience and we can relate in our practical life, in our transactional life. And the third is Pratibhasika Satta. Pratibhasika means whatever is reflected, and we cannot deny it. When we see ourselves in a mirror, we cannot deny, but we know that it is not real. We dream And in our dream, whatever we experience, we cannot deny, but we know it is not real. Then what is that reality? That we have to explore. So I'll read from the text and try to go through because time is limited. Sri Shankaracharya inherited the most notable work, Mandika Karika, a foundational work on Advaita philosophy from his teacher's teacher, Gaudapad. He writes that he received Advaita knowledge from teachers and that preceded him. We don't find any other work teachers present during his lifetime. His guru, Sri Govinda Bhagavad Pada, however, inspired him to spread non-dualism. We don't find any of his works either. So it can be safely said that Sri Shankaracharya single-handedly established the Advaita philosophy through his non-dual commentaries of either 10 or 11 Upanishads, Brahma Sutras, Bhagavad Gita, and some Prakaran Granthas that we have just now heard from our previous speakers. So whatever we see and whatever we experience, though we may not deny, but that may not be true. Suppose we are standing in front of a river and we see a river, and we see it is static. But is it static? It is not. It is constantly changing. You cannot take bath in the same river twice. So, whatever we experience through our senses, it may not be true because the limitations of our senses, whatever we see, I am now seeing you, but if I remove this, I cannot see clearly. So the instrument has got some problem. And the same truth cannot be expressed also because we have limitations in our conveying the ideas. So this is our limitations. So Advaita, that non-duality or not two, contrasts with dualistic experiences that we experience now, and philosophies which view the universe as consisting of more than one fundamental opposing reality. So what is that? Which is the fundamental reality, that the source of reality on which we experience all multiple experiences. The same person, when he is awake, he experiences this world, and when he goes to sleep, this world totally disappears, and when he goes to deep sleep, this world, even dream world, also disappears. So what is that truth? That is the point. Though there are opposing views are there, so according to Shankara, such distinctions are not real, the ultimate reality. Why it is not real? Because it changes. Because it has no, we call it Trikala Abadita. It is Bad. Bad means it obliterates in three times, three tenses, past, present, and future. So Trikala Abadita. That truth which is Trikala Abadita is the supreme truth, Paramarthik Sattva. So according to Shankara, such distinctions are not real. The ultimate reality, Brahman, is the only true existence, and everything else, including the universe and individual cells, is a projection of singular reality. Who is that singular reality? So here you experience, or I experience this world. This is the person, this is that reality who experiences. We mistakenly perceive the world as consisting of multiple distinct objects and beings. This perception arises from ignorance. Avidya. What is ignorance? As we say Maya, Yama, that does not exist. See, just now we have heard the hymn, Name Janma, Name Namrittu, Pita Naivat, etc. That we have no birth, no death. So this is the claim. But we see that we are born, we experience that this world exists. So this is because of our misperception, that is because of that power, the divine power. It is not a magic, it is a divine power that manifests that singular truth in manifoldness. So this is, what is this that we have also discussed? Sannapya sanya vayatmikano, vinyapya vinya vayatmikano. It is not sat, neither it is sat nor asat. Neither it is a mixture of both. Why? Like sat is existence, like it is day, and asat, like night. We cannot mix together. Neither it is sat, because when knowledge dawns onto us, then we find there is no such multiplicity. But in ignorance we see many. We cannot deny that either. So, is it the mixture of both? No, that also is not possible. Because mixture happens when similar things are there. But when it is opposing, we cannot mix like day and night. So the goal of Advaita is to overcome the ignorance through knowledge. As we know, if we do not know something, some subject, then we should know that, as simple as that. And secondly, knowledge empowers. Not only it removes our ignorance, but it empowers. Suppose we don't know how electricity works. Say what it happens to me also. For many months, I could not use a gadget. Then I asked a handyman, and he came, he put the switch on. That he did. So knowledge empowers. Not only it removes our ignorance, but it empowers. Because it tripped. That it was heavy load, so it tripped. So I did not know that. The goal of Advaita is to overcome this ignorance through knowledge, leading to a direct realization that Atman is identical with Brahman. Now we don't grow two horns. Rather we identify ourselves, as we have just now heard, that Parinamvada means something is converted into something else. But here it is not converted. We assume something else. Like when we were children, we thought we were children. Now we are grown up, and some are elderly. So all this identification happens with something which is changing all the time. So that reality, which is the source of our existence, that we have to discover. The supreme reality, Brahman, can be presented in two distinct forms. So that, as Sri Ramakrishna said, Brahman and Shakti. Brahman and Shakti. Shakti, he said, Mother Kali. When he is not doing anything, we call him Brahman. But when he is doing This creation, preservation and destruction or absorption, we call her Kali. These two are not two different identities, rather they are identical, the same in different expression. So similarly, one is called Nirguna Brahman and one is called Saguna Brahman, with attributes and without attributes. So Nirguna means without attributes. We cannot attribute something. We put attributes to those which are limited. So something which is not limited, which cannot be comprehended through mind, when mind cannot comprehend this. Why? Because mind has also limitation. It is conceived in time, space and causation. Suppose you are now, as you are awake now, when you go to sleep, this time, space and causation cease to exist. And when you go to deep sleep, that time, even mind also merges in the ignorance. So therefore, this time, space and causation is because of this concept of mind. So mind creates time, space and causation. When mind is merged, that time we cannot conceive that. So Nirguna and Saguna Brahman, these are different ways of experiencing and understanding the ultimate reality. But they are not contradictory, rather they reflect two levels of truth. So like Sri Ramakrishna gave example, as he gave example of a snake. Snake when coiled up, not to be moving, that we call Brahman. When it is moving, we call Shakti. So these are not contradictory, rather it is complementary. According to Shankaracharya, Nirguna Brahman refers to the highest unmanifested form of Brahman, pure consciousness without any attributes. This is the ultimate reality beyond human comprehension, where there is no differentiation, no limitation due to attributes, hence no multiplicity. So Nirguna Brahman, as of now we cannot conceive that. Nirguna Brahman is beyond the reach of sensory perception, intellect and language. It is ineffable and formless, existing beyond time, space and causation. So there is no connection with karma, especially jnana karma samuchaya, that it's not possible there. The reality of Nirguna Brahman is the only truth that exists according to Shankaracharya, and everything else we perceive is due to covering and projecting powers of Maya. As we know that it has covering power, when we see something and we take by mistake, say this, we have stock example of snake, rope and snake. When it is half light and half dark, then we see something is lying there, we jump and say, oh, it's a snake. But when we bring light, then we see it's not a snake, rather it is a rope. So this is Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti, covering power and projecting power. So because of these two power, that same Brahman is being projected as this world, even this body-mind complex. Whatever we see or perceive, it is because of this covering power and reflecting power, projecting power. This ultimate reality can be realized through proper hearing and understanding. That means Shravana, hearing, very important, and to understand and to see find the import of that teaching. And Shankaracharya did not discover this. Like we have already heard that I am Atma Brahman. Tat Tvam Asi. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. So this truth is inherent with us. The proper hearing and understanding. This we have to again hear again and again. Shravanam Sruti Bhagavyasya Mantavyasyam Bhavati. So first we have to hear this truth, the revealed truth that we find through Vedas, Upanishads. So negating multiplicity and transcending the material world and the ego, the false sense of individuality through right knowledge. So Saguna Brahman refers to the concept of Brahman with attributes. This form is the manifest, visible and personal aspect of the ultimate reality, that we can worship Kali, Durga, Shiva and various ways. Shankaracharya does not see Saguna Brahman as contradiction to Nirguna Brahman that we have already discussed. Now, Maya or ignorance, according to Shankara, the world that we perceive through our senses is not the ultimate reality. Rather, it is an appearance or Maya superimposed on the unchanging eternal Brahman. Just as a dream appears real while one is dreaming but vanishes when one wakes up, the world of multiplicity is an illusion that disappears when one awakens to the truth of non-duality. Maya is the force that causes us to perceive duality. The separation between the self and the universe, between God and the world. It creates the illusion of individual identities, objects and events, all which are ultimately transient and unreal. So, whatever we experience, we forget also. And it gradually recedes from us. So, in deep sleep, we forget everything. So, gradually, we have to concentrate on that and to find out something which is real. And that is why we have various processes of upasana. And then what happens? Like wherever one sees, Yumam Pashyati Sarvatram, Sarvam Chami Pashyati, Tasyaham na Punarshami, Sachamina Punarshati. He who sees me in everything and everything in me, I do not negate him, neither he negates me. So the path of knowledge, of self-realization, the central path to liberation is Advaita Vedanta in Jnana Yoga, or the path of self-inquiry. So this is independent path. It is not that something related to something else. Just we concentrate what is our real nature, what is our reality. Then this is like sufficient. So the essential practice of Advaita Vedanta is self-inquiry. The questioning of the nature of the self. Who am I? Like Raman Maharshi also used to do that. Even Kabir, Lali, Mere Lali, Jit Dekhu Titala. Then what happens? He sees everywhere it is the same Brahman, everywhere the same existence. According to Shankara, the self-inquiry leads to the understanding or realization that the individual self, Atman, is not separate from Brahman. Atman is Brahman. This realization, which transcends all intellectual understanding and passeth into deep peace and bliss, is a direct experience of unity with divine. Shankara's teachings suggest that by stripping away all false identities, such as those based on the body, mind and ego, one can reach the ultimate truth, that the self is pure consciousness, identical, the all-pervading Brahman. The realization of the self as Brahman leads freedom. Freedom means no bondage, which is freedom from the cycle of birth and death. This because we identify with this, but when this knowledge dawns onto us, then we see that we were never born. And there are ways that we have heard and learned many times that it has Nitya Nitya Vastu Vivek. Vivek means always we have to discriminate, and one should be discriminating. Number 2, Ihamutra Phal Bhog Virat, and not to be allured by the senses, to be caught up in this nature. For that we have 6 disciplines, as we know: Shamadamadi Shat Sampatti, Shamadama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhan, etc. And then Mumukshutva, the desire for freedom. Desire means here, without that we cannot exist. That is our reality. It is that like haunting of heaven. It comes from within. We are not this, though we may take for granted that we are of this world, but in reality we are not of this world. Rather, this is only a reflection. In our day-to-day world also we experience this. It always recedes from us. So we have to concentrate what is our real nature. So this desire, that is mumukshutva. So with this, I conclude my talk here, and thank you very much.
We thank Revered Maharaj for performing a Herculean task. Why Herculean task? Because the most profound and most difficult philosophy of Adi Shankaracharya he has confronted head-on and tried to present before us the essence of it, the outlines of it. Why do I say it's difficult? Not because the language of Shankaracharya is difficult. One of the commentators on Shankara's commentary on the Brahma Sutras, Vachaspati Mishra, he says Shankaracharya's language is prasanna gambhira. Gambhira, very profound, very deep, very difficult, but also prasanna, very easy, very lucid. So it's not a difficulty of language, not even a difficulty of argument. There are even more recondite, very subtle arguments you find in post-Shankara Vedanta, which we will see soon. But no, what is difficult about it is so utterly different from what we are used to. The whole presentation, again, yesterday while coming in the vehicle from the airport, Revered Tattvaman was telling me, the problem with Advaita is it is so utterly different from our practical view of life. That's why it seems difficult to us. How is it utterly different? This, for example, let me give an example. We all say, in this session also, Swamis have said, I see this world, how can it not be real? You know what Shankara says? The world is unreal. Why? Because you see it. Literally, that is the argument. Drishyatvat, mithya. Now, how do you make sense of such an argument? He says it's goldy. And there's a very good argument to this. Stunning, if you look deeply into this. But it's so utterly, what we will say, counterintuitive. We will say the simplest thing, world is real. Why? Because I see it. Shankara says, world is unreal, because you see it. Then what is it really if it's unreal? What's the truth here? The truth here, even more shocking. Shankara says, it is not the world, it is not even your individual existence, it is not even God. It is something that underlies this God, triangle of God, world and individual being. He calls it Brahman. And it is limitless existence, limitless consciousness, limitless bliss. Satchid Ananda. This is a shocking statement that such a thing is there. And it's the only thing that is there. Even more shocking, Shankaracharya says that this Satchidananda, limitless existence, consciousness, bliss, most shocking statement, it is you. You are it. Now all of this is very difficult to swallow. What does he mean by all this? And yet the demonstration Shankaracharya has given, it's extraordinary in its subtlety, in its counterintuitiveness, but it is also in its utter simplicity also. Maharaj has referred, without saying in so many words, what he was basing his approach on is Shankaracharya's masterwork. It is his commentary on the Brahma Sutras, and in the introduction to that commentary called Adhyasa Bhashya, the commentary, the essay on superimposition. The scholar, Professor J.N. Mahanti, who is a master of both Eastern and Western philosophies, who passed away just a couple of years ago, once he remarked to me about 25 years ago or so, Swami, in all my studies of the religious and philosophical literature of the East and the West, I have not come across a more profound sentence than the opening sentence of the Adhyasa Bhashya. A single sentence. So, what does that sentence establish? It establishes what Maharaj said, that we are profoundly mistaken about what we are. We are under an error. He establishes that such an error is possible. Not only possible, it's obviously we are under an error. We are not these bodies and minds. We think we are these bodies and minds. We are these limited beings. That's what we think. It's an error. Why are we under this error? Because of ignorance. All error is due to ignorance. Ignorance of what? Our real nature. Then the rest of it follows with remarkable logic. It's like a mathematical derivation. If our problems are due to our error, error is due to ignorance, the solution must always be knowledge. Knowledge of what? Of what we are ignorant of. We are ignorant about ourselves, so knowledge about ourselves. Then the rest of what Maharaj says follows. How do you get knowledge? By inquiry. Every knowledge by inquiry. You ask Google. Yes, you ask. Inquiry. Or ChatGPT. And so the method of Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana, and who can profit from this knowledge, the qualifications of the aspirant, all of this, it follows from that central insight. And it is very different from what we were discussing in earlier sessions today and yesterday, where it is a faith-based approach. There is a God, you believe in this, and you worship God. By the grace of God, you will be rescued from this samsara. Here it is utterly different. So this makes it a little difficult, not because the arguments are difficult, not because Shankara's language is very simple, actually. Remember, he was a teenager when he was writing most of these. Very simple. Sometimes Ramanujacharya's language is much more difficult, and post-Shankara masters, their language is different for different reasons, more difficult also. Shankara's language is simple. Shankara's arguments are also not very, they're profound, but they are not very hair-splitting. They are very direct and clear, with a lot of clarity is there. It is just the counterintuitive nature, shocking nature of what he is saying that's so difficult to recognize. Oh my God, is this what he is saying? And even more difficult to swallow, and even more difficult to live accordingly. Now we move on to what happened after Shankaracharya. That's a thrilling and exciting story. It's really a ride what happens after Shankaracharya. Tremendous developments in Advaita Vedanta. This we will hear about from revered Swami Prapannanandaji Maharaj. Maharaj is the head and the resident minister in the Vedanta Society in Sacramento.